Hi, love. Hello, and welcome to Co-Creative Healing Journey. My name is Greta. I am a healer, and this is a card reading where we are going to bring through some messages that Spirit has for you. From you, okay, for you. um, we are going to see what Spirit wants to share. Today's message is about repeated cycles, and I'll see how that from you aspect plays in. I have an idea, but we're going to see how it plays in. We're just going to start, bring through the messages, and go from there. So we have got an overall energy of authority where there you go, that's where it plays in. And it says, the frequency of authority reminds us that true authority is powerful, directed, and realized, yet receptive, wise, and loving. So I love this. I love this so much. This is just such a beautiful message. And the message is that we are talking about repeated cycles. And actually, we are talking about breaking out of repetition, out of repeating a cycle and then starting a new cycle. And the message is, and this is the message from you, you're basically ready to do that. You have authority in this matter. And Spirit needs you to step into a space of authority, into the center here, out of the past, out of the present also, and out of the future, in a space that is alchemical in between all three, so that you can now decide, you can now make use of your spiritual authority to decide what comes next. And I love it, especially because there's this message that before there were other people who had authority, other forces at play in a situation or issue in your life or in your life in general. It was circumstances, it was the economy, it was things outside of your control. And while we can always debate the extent to which those things are true, it's about the experience. It's about you having had an experience that you did not have the authority to decide where you were going to go, how your life was going to go, to decide, is it general or is it a specific issue? Yeah, it's a general sense of your life, of taking your life where you wanted to go and having a general sense that that was beyond your authority, beyond your level to decide. And Spirit wants to speak to that because you're ready now. You're ready to break out of it and to start taking the reins and start directing your life in a much more powerful, impactful, direct, and also heart-centered way. This is very much your soul, your heart speaking up and saying, yeah, I'm ready. Hey, I'm ready. Are you? Ooh, I like that. Are you ready? Your heart is ready. So we've got Dark Angel. Beautiful. And we've got Grounding. Wow. I love it. This is a really, really beautiful message. And I don't know why I'm surprised. Well, actually, it's because when I was doing this reading, there was a whole thing. I just ran into this big wall of fear. I always work the energies when I'm doing a reading, and there was so much fear and it was impeding me. And it's like I was unable to break through in order to sit down, and it took a lot. It took a lot to get me to do this reading, and that's what the Dark Angel is talking about. It's not actually Dark Angel in the sense that there is darkness. Dark Angel is a card that talks about your angelic nature, and in this instance, it's talking about a kind of alienation from it. You see, there's so much darkness around that it would be like this person forgetting that they are an angel and everything that goes with that, the power, the grace, the openness, the trust, the belief, a kind of competence also as a creative being that comes from your true spiritual nature, and being alienated from that. And yet at the same time, with grounding, this is talking about an environment that is ripe for grounding. There is something in the collective energy at this time. Whenever you're watching this, it's a timeless reading. Whenever you're watching this, there are things happening in the collective energy, and it can even be at a very basic level, like in your society. There are new laws, there are new rules, there's a new boss at work, there's a new neighbor, there's a new dynamic in your earthly circumstances that is acting like a receptacle, a space in which you can plant new seeds, make new things happen. And so the environment is ready, the circumstance is ready, the universe also, in a larger sense, right? The universe is ready, And it's for you to come out of a state of identification with the darkness around you. This can be darkness in society, this can be darkness in your family history, in your personal life. And again, we're talking in a general sense. It's like you have had experiences in your life that were dark, that have impacted your awareness of yourself as an angel, as a spiritual being. It has impacted your awareness of your higher nature. Yes, we're human, and yes, we have certain base aspects, right? Like she's close to the ground here, which is, by the way, one of the meanings of humility. Humus is the earth, so humility is being grounded. It is being close to the ground, and that is absolutely true. But we are also divine, and there is a greater authority that comes from the divine and the divine being in us that gives us authority to create the life that we want to lead. That is a greater authority than the authority we get usually, typically in society, to create that same life, right? So society will have rules, it will have belief systems, understandings, and a sense of limitation that you have bought into to some degree. And it reminds me of that common saying, be noble, for you are made of stars, and be humble, for you are made of earth. And there is a way in which you can balance it, which also brings you into authority. And of course, how did I miss it? The authority of the self here with what would I say? The Trinity. Yeah, we have the spirit, the soul, the human, all working together as part of the self. Every human being is a spirit, a soul, and a personality all in one. So spirit, soul, personality, and there's a new merge, something that needs to happen where you're working in a much more integrated whole way so that you can move forward here. And very clearly what came up is your spiritual being. It's your spirituality that is crying out to be seen more, heard more, take up more space, because our spiritual energy is also our creative energy, and creative energy is spiritual energy is creative, love energy is creative. So there's your spiritual being that is crying out for more space, because it is also the creative source of change, transformation, blossoming, opening, much more abundance, much more light, much more bigger, better, truer, and expansion that wants to happen and that is ready to happen in your life. So normally I cut the deck, but I really feel drawn to this card, so I'm going to pull it out and then I'm going to cut the deck. So we're going to look at kind of the issue, the meat and potatoes of the issue so much more clearly. We've got nature spirits. Well, that's in one phrase, right? Your nature and your spirit. There you go. We have nature spirits. We have got earth angel. Oh, again, that dichotomy, earth angel. Yeah, there you go. Needs some time to come into focus. That was actually part of the reading, not just my camera skills. And then we've got Archangel Gabriel with Master number 22, Master Builder. Oh, I love that. Okay. All right, so I'm going to read the text just to bring it in. It says, I respect all of nature's elemental beings and help preserve life on Earth. And then we have, I am a guardian of Mother Earth and protect all who live on her. Okay. And then we have, I invite Archangel Gabriel to bring hope and intuition into my life. So the messages I'm getting is that at this time, with these wings outspread here, there is hope and intuition for you to gain in this new life that you want to create for yourself, which is going to be so much more about embodying your spiritual energy with the white here, this purity of being. I feel like there's a purification that is underway that is about you spreading your wings, moving forward, and realizing a greater experience of your life than you have known before. Now, what it is basically in this image. I love that. Do you see that? There's this being who is basically, they have these beautiful shiny wings. Actually, that is literally what I call one of my little angel statues, but shiny wings. But there's this being here who is in an environment that, it is nature, but the way that I'm seeing it right now, it looks like a jungle, and it looks kind of oppressive. It looks heavier than this open sky. It's like a being who wants to fly, who wants to be in their element, and then feels burdened by the earthly experience. So this is talking very much about your experience of life so far, where not necessarily your whole being, right? Your personality even, let alone just your spirit, that your spirit, to some extent, in some ways, feels burdened by the earthly experience that you have had so far. And yet you are intended to play a very specific role here in this world. You're intended to be an earth angel. You are intended to create a synthesis of the two so that you do the same thing. This says, I respect all of nature's elemental beings and I help preserve life on earth. And this one says, protect all who live on her. So there's a kind of similar mission, right? This is what the spirit would say, preserving all of life. And this is what the human would say, like everyone who lives on her, right? An ideal, and then thinking about people, places, things, which is very personality based, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just a different level of awareness. And you are intended to merge the two. You are intended to have an experience of life where you are both. You're an earth angel. You are of the earth, and you are in your personality. And that means your psyche, your psychology, your ego, that you are at home in that. And at the same time, you're at home in your spirituality. You are at home in your source being. You are at home in that spiritual genius that I was just talking about that is so creative. You are able to pull energy from your spiritual being in order to create the earthly experience that you want to have. You are intended to have that experience. And this hope and intuition card is talking about how, again, it's time for that. With 22, this is a master builder time. You're intended to become this master builder and to create this, which is going to seed a lot of hope and a lot of intuition in the collective at large. It's like when you do this, when you embody this, other souls look at you and at a soul level, so subconsciously go, oh, I can do it too. And that's why intuition is the voice of the soul. So it's about, again, that level where you, at a human level, are leading a life that other human beings can look at and go like, yeah, that's awesome. But also, or rather at a personal level, a personality level, right? Other personalities can be like, oh, that's cool. I like that. I would desire the same. I would plan for the same. I'm going to create the same, right? Where the personality level is all about like how we think and feel, and then striving for things, pursuing things, and of course, reaching outcomes and all of that level. And that's absolutely fine. But there's also that soul level that goes, oh, I want to co-create that with spirit. Oh, I want to have that manifestation occur, and wants to go into all of the energetics of making that happen. There's a message here about you leading your life and how it has a much more profound effect than you know. You're intended to realize this. You're intended to make it happen. And I just noticed, actually, yeah, this is number 34. This is number 35. So, reaching that balance between the earthly and the spiritual is also what is going to unburden your spirit and allow you to fly. With master number 22, this is not easy. This is not common, right? If everybody could do it, they would. It is a master manifestation. It is something from a higher plane of existence. Basically, that's what it is, a higher dimension, a higher plane of existence, and realizing it here on the planet. And it's like a beautiful seesaw, a beautiful balance, and you are intended to realize that balance. How amazing. So we've got some tarot cards to deepen the message. We've got major arcana number 2 with the High Priestess. We have got the Ten of Swords. Yay! Oh, and especially this Ten of Swords. It's the after tarot. So that's the thing, right? I see Ten of Swords and I'm like, yes, a card that is infamous for calamity, disaster, the worst ever. But in this energy, it's Ten of Swords, yay, because of how it's depicted, because of how it shows up. We have Ten of Pentacles. Well, there you go. And we've got, wow, Major Arcana number 10, the Wheel of Fortune. So we also have 3 tens lined up. 10, 10, 10. And 10 is, in numerology, is the energy of full completion in the tarot. So it's full completion, and it's also the beginning of a new cycle with the 1 and the 0. You go past the 9. The 9 is actually the completion, the wholeness. So 10 is the excess, the ultimate point beyond the completion, where it's actually a new beginning. It's a completion that is so full that it actually is a new beginning, and it unleashes the potentials that were earned in the completion. So because you've gone through life as you have gone through it, because you've been through some stuff, you can now have a completely different experience. It comes from that, and you cannot shy away, and you can't separate them. It's all interconnected, past, present, future. It's all interconnected. You won't get the future that you're going to get. You wouldn't be able to get it if you hadn't been where you've been, and if you aren't where you are now. And all of it matters. You have to have gone through what you've gone through, and you have to be here now and learn the lessons of now and do the work of now in order to get where you're going. So with the High Priestess, there is a message here about seasons, and the seasons and the time and the shift of the times. And I feel like this is Spirit putting you on notice. And again, I feel like you would know this on a soul level. I'm not sure how it would show up. We might talk about it later. Is there something in the card that would talk about how it would show up? Well, with the pillars here, this is the darkness, right? This is black. This is a dark pillow. Talk about stating the obvious. So yeah, I feel like you are experiencing this already. We have a black pillar, we have a white pillar. And this is talking about the dark cycles that you've been in, the darkness that has been around you. And you're shifting now into a completely different experience, where you are shifting into an experience that's a lot more light, a lot more elevated, and therefore also a lot more in alignment with who you truly are. You are a being of light in your innermost self. And it's time for you to have that experience, which we're going to get to. But there is here a message about where you've been. And you've been in the trenches. You've been in the trenches of what is essentially spiritual warfare on this planet. There is, people talk a lot like a war on women, a war on poverty, a war on this and that. And then we have a lot of actual wars happening as we speak. However, this is also, there's a war on the spirit. Spirit is saying that within every single person, every human, again, is a spirit, a soul, and a personality all in one. And the spirit within everyone is under attack. Now, you can gain spiritual power and know how to defend yourself as a spirit, which the High Priestess also is kind of alluding to, that it's a time for you to step into that. It's alluded to. It's not there yet. It would be there if we had a Hierophant, maybe a Hermit, but it's not. We're not there yet. However, we do have this Ten of Swords that's talking about you getting to exit the warfare altogether. You get to leave the trenches. The dark night is leaving. Yeah, the darkness is going. The light is coming in, and you get to come out of a state where you felt like you were under siege, like your spirit was under siege. And when our spirit is under siege, it is the worst thing ever. What our spirit is to everyone is sacred. What our spirit wants, needs, deserves to have in life is absolutely sacred. And so it's a feeling of being continually attacked and hurt, wounded in what is sacred to you. And for in a larger sense, right, it's something that we manifest as a species, where we are attacking nature, the natural world, rather. We are a part of nature, but the natural world, the environment. And I'm seeing this almost like the rainforest, where we're losing, I believe it's a football field, American football field size of rainforest every single day, right? Or some other ungodly number. But it's that kind of war that we're having with our environment, with the natural world, that we all experience on the inside, but this is ending for you. And instead, there's a whole new life that is beginning here, and it's a life of the earthly realm. So, with this little child here, I feel like that represents you, and that would represent also the spirit. And with the chest here full of all of these pentacles, there is a message about things that you've gathered along the way. So every time that you were defending your spirit, you're basically learning about what is sacred to you. And you're now coming into an experience where spirit is going to present you with a chest full, with a lot of experiences that are an answer to what you've protected. Wow. And you can even see in the card, you see how he's holding on. Or they are holding on. They are holding themselves, protecting themselves. Protecting the light within, protecting the spirit in an environment, in a space that is, what is the word? Yeah, encroaching and trying to encroach. There is so much about this world. You know, it's at a basic level. Imagine you are having an emotional issue. Something hurt today. And you are a self-healing being. So naturally, normally, you would work through these emotions. You would work your energy, you would work with form, you would work consciousness, you would work awareness, the big four forces, sorry, the big four, as I call them, but or think of them. But you would work energy, you would work consciousness, you would work awareness, you would even work form in order to rebalance, to move through it and move on with your life, in order to heal yourself and continue. But we live in a world where it's set up to that if your feelings were hurt, the message is, well, buy this, you'll feel better. Consume that, you'll feel better. Engage with this person, get it from this person, you'll feel better, right? Look outside of you, because we're not taught how to do that. By and large, we're not taught how to heal ourselves and how to be in alignment with who we are, with our spiritual being especially. And so it's very common. It's very, very common for so many of us to go through life being forced to protect. And especially if you are intended to be this earth angel, you will have necessarily needed to have a lot of your spiritual energy present, and therefore you would have had needed to defend it a lot. But every time you were, spirit is saying, it's like spirit was taking notes. Oh, they're defending their dreams. Okay, let me write dreams. That matters. That's important. That has value. That's the heart center also. What matters to us, what is important, what is relevant for us, what we know that we need to have in life, what we're dedicated to, what we care about, what we're passionate about, our ambitions, our will, all of that is in our heart center. And so it's like spirit was taking notes every single time. And in the coming times, in the future, it's basically all of these manifesting in physical form, where spirit is giving you each pentacle back, each manifestation according to the energetic work you've done to communicate to yourself and to others and to the universe that this mattered to you. And with the Wheel of Fortune here, this overall represents a massive shift in the energy. So wherever you have felt down, wherever you felt that you were under attack, wherever you have felt that you were having to fight really, really hard to hold on to, or to respect, or to uphold, or to maintain, or to grow and expand and develop what mattered most to you, in those areas there is a shift. And there's something that I believe in, which is the pendulum principle. So as bad as it has been is as good as it's going to get. And that's just physics, right? When you have a pendulum, it swings back and forth, and the energy in the pendulum that has it swing one way will swing it back the other. It's physics. It's, you know, at this point, also with the High Priestess, it's universal law. It's just how it works. It's just how it works. And it's not something that anyone can hinder or break or destroy or block. Not you, not anybody else. It's going to happen. It's universal law. The Wheel of Fortune is going to turn. And it's going to turn in your favor, yes, but especially it's going to turn in the favor of your spirit and your spiritual energy. And again, all of this work you've been doing in the trenches of the spiritual warfare currently unfolding on the planet. And I'm being guided to say that this is not an us against them, ego versus spirit. There's no opposition here. It's just natural. Actually, yeah, it's natural. It makes sense that we're functioning in this way because that's how far we have evolved. It's like if you go into a kindergarten class, they are not all sitting quietly and or drawing within the lines, right? They're not drawing within the lines. They're in kindergarten. That's appropriate for them to do. In the same way you would look at humanity and see a very young species that has evolved to a certain level and just hasn't learned certain things yet, but we are in the process. So there's part of this shift, and part of you really coming into the power of this is understanding and coming out of any kind of victimhood, any kind also, oh my god, yeah, any kind of holding on to the darkness of the experience that you've been in, because it's just holding on to the darkness and that energy and the old cycle. And I'm just laughing because I've been seeing it left and right in the last couple of days, in myself, where I was just realizing like, wait, I'm really holding on to the difficulties in my process in the larger sense, right? And in journey of growth and evolution, the last really 10 years, and when it was at the darkest, wow, I'm really holding on to that. And if I'm holding on to it, there's no need to, right? I'm just doing it because it's almost like a grudge against the universe. It's almost it's victimhood, right? It's a sense of feeling small. And then secondly, I saw today a video that I clicked on, and it was this very angelic energy in the title. It sounded very powerful reading. So I was like, okay, I don't usually just watch readings in general, or readers I don't know, things like that. But I was like, okay, let me try it. And so I tried it, and I click somewhere on the video. I do that a lot, and I highly recommend it. You don't always have to watch through everything all the time, unless of course it speaks to you, but it's a really good way to know kind of what is this about, spirit, especially when you're being guided. Spirit, what is it about? What do you want me to watch? And I click on a space, and I always get my answer. And if it's really for me, I will go back and listen to the whole thing. But that being said, I clicked on the video there, and instantly this person said something, very of speaking to this energy. Actually, you're very powerful. You're here to do some amazing things on the earth, and then you will have met a lot of darkness. Actually, quite similar to this reading. And then instantly they went into their own trauma dumping. Me too. Since I was a child, people have been doing horrible things to me, and they've done this and this, and I was like, whoa. I did not ask, first and foremost, but it was trauma dumping, like just instantaneously, right? And it actually could be quite triggering to hear, babies being hurt. And so it shocked me, but this is the energy of it. It's like, okay, let's keep going. I think it's in these cards. Yeah, we've got the Chariot, exactly. It is time to move on, and it is time to transcend this energy. It is not invited. It's not invited to your party. Where you're going, what's next for you in the next cycle, this energy of the past and any kind of anger, victimhood, even sadness, sorrow, and things that are very, very legitimate, they're just not invited. They're not a part of this energy. It's oil and water. You are in one energetic cycle, and you're moving to the next energetic cycle. And if you take these energies with you, and I'm speaking to myself here, just so you know, because it's coming through quite forcefully, but if you take the sorrow and the feeling small and the hardships and everything that happened, if you take even a little bit of it with you, then you're not in the new, and the only person keeping you out will be you. And that's why we're back to it. You have authority here. You have authority. There's integrity in spiritual energy, meaning spiritual energy is one thing. It is whole, and it's not a little bit of this or a little bit of that. It is or it isn't. It's the old energy or it's the new energy. And the new energy is not in any way, shape, or form you identifying with the darkness that you have been in. So, we've got an 8 of Wands. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Hey! I got excited. We got a 9 of Swords. Yeah. Okay. Do you see the message? And we've got major arcana number 15, the devil, showing up. Okay. Look. The Chariot. This is an energy you have to transcend. The Chariot always rises, never descends. And this is Spirit telling you the only way is up. Major arcana, soul level energy. Again, the High Priestess. See the energy that you're in, the season that is going on, right? To see it from a larger picture. This needs to be transcended. It's not coming. And the Chariot is it's not coming with you. And the Chariot is also an energy of reaching major life goals, of triumph over difficult energy, overcoming it. And at a soul level, it's like your soul wants to overcome the life that you led to triumph, to come into a triumph at a soul level. Again, a master manifestation at a soul level, to be able to live through what you've lived through and not let it define you and every last moment of your life. Again, how many souls on the planet are fighting to do that? And you are realizing it. You have the potential to realize it. That is a master manifestation. That is amazing. That is a victory. And so there's a message here to step into authority and claim it. With the 8 of Wands, it's especially important because, my dear, this energy that you're stepping into, this new cycle, is very fast moving. And it's very fast moving because you've done your work. So there aren't going to be obstacles to overcome or hindrances or things to work out at an energetic level. That's already done. But beyond the fact that things are going to go fast with an 8 of Wands, we have here in this depiction someone who has an arrow and is pointing the way. You need to lead the energy. This is an energy, Wands energy for me, intentional energy, also heart-centered energy. So it's about your will. Your volition is needed, your intentions, and it is about you setting the course, co-creating it, right? So the universe is bringing this positive energy, this shift in greater energy, but you have to say where it's going to go or what is it going to look like. Is it a blue house or a pink house? You say, you decide. But if you're still in the pain of how 10 years ago you lost out on the blue house and you picked the blue house because of that, then when you get to the blue house, it's not actually going to be aligned. It's not going to be for your highest good. You can lead yourself astray. And again, I'm brought back. You can just repeat the cycle so that you're actually, from holding on to this energy, you're going to step into a much more favorable energy, but you're still going to pick and manifest the same outcomes. Blue house after blue house after blue house after blue house, even at a higher vibration. And fundamentally, it will just be a repetition, Spirit is saying. It will just be more of the same, even if it's unfolding in a much more comfortable way. But fundamentally, energetically, it will be more of the same. It's like I have had, for most of my life, I had one friend type. And actually I can go back to when we were 8 years old, and there was this girl, and even how she looks. So she looks a certain way, and she is blonde, she has blue eyes, and every, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, I would meet the same one. Energetically, right? They're different people, but it's the same kind of energy. And it was not a satisfactory friendship, actually. And I continued this pattern all the way into my mid-30s. Different person, higher energy. She got nicer with time, right? But the core of it was still the same, which is essentially a core of betrayal, low-level betrayal. But that's what it is. And especially like I'm not making me feel, no one makes us feel anything, but especially me feeling in our relationship that I was not good enough. So there's this energy of a friend who continually manifests every 4 or 5 years, different friend groups, different experiences. And of course I didn't know that at the time. I can see it looking back. And she's there all the time, and it inevitably leads into some feeling of betrayal on some level, right? Of something deep inside of me, something spiritual. And so that's the repetition. Next cycle, if I move this inner energy through authority, I can have a brown haired friend. I'm just kidding, but the point is to break out of it. Or I can have a friend with blonde hair and blue eyes, but without the betrayal energy, because I will have left it behind, left it where it needs to be. And so there's a need here to be fighting dragons and to be fighting fears and to be taking them on. You're in a time right now where you are intended to purge. And we have Nine of Swords here, and we have Major Arcana number 15, the Devil. So there's purging happening on both sides. Again, the darkness in the background of the image, right? We're purging darkness, we're purging brokenness, we're purging patterns, but on different levels. Here with the Nine of Swords for me, and the nines in general in the tarot, is the self. So these are patterns about ourselves: self-recrimination, self-hatred, self-doubt, really the ways in which we injure ourselves. And so these are the patterns: I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not kind enough, I'm not rich enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not thin enough, I'm not sexy enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not, I think actually I'm repeating that, right? The smart enough, because it's a repetition. It's the tape that you've had playing in the back of your head for most of your life. It's time to silence it. It's time to clear out those patterns. And the Devil card is talking about a much, much deeper level of, I don't even know if I want to bring it closer. We don't need to be looking at it. But is this energy of disempowerment of the soul. So this is very specific. This talks about all those patterns where you would have abandoned yourself, also betrayed yourself, in order to have a kind of drug, the drug of fitting in, the drug of being accepted, the drug of not being the weird one, the drug of going with the flow, right? So it's talking about how I would say, for example, with my friend, literally we were 8 years old, right? And we did this thing where there was a notebook and we were going to write our innermost thoughts and then share it with one another, right? And we would write it every night, and then we would give it to the other one during the day, and then she would read it, and then in the evening she would write herself, and then we would exchange it back and forth, and it was going to be our big friendship thing. So I did it. And then she started to not do it, and she would forget or something, and she was 8 years old. But at some point it just became too much for her. But when she gave it back to me, she was like, no, I don't want to do it anymore. And she communicated to me that she thought I was being weird for taking it so seriously. And just the way that I was describing it, right? To me, it just connected something deep, and it was, so lovely, and we were going to be best friends and all that stuff. But she communicated to me that I was being weird for thinking about it so much or putting so much effort into it, which fundamentally would be a pattern of, you're weird because you love too much, or you're weird because you care too much. Why do you care? Things like that, right? So that it's those kinds of things. So in that moment, if I took the book back from her and went, oh, you're right, I'm weird, I should totally not care about this, who cares, and just threw it in the trash, then that would be me abandoning myself. It's that kind of energy. It would be every way in which you have given in to external pressure and to this darkness in order to give yourself some relief, give yourself a sense of validation, a sense of belonging. Really what you're giving yourself are spiritual things, right? You're giving yourself love, you're giving yourself connection, you're giving yourself a sense of wholeness, a sense of maybe presence. You're giving yourself profound things, intangible things that your spirit needs, but it was done in an unhealthy way, right? By sacrificing what was sacred. And so there's the need to deal with these patterns. And Spirit really is talking about it as a drug, as also a habituation, because we are, physical beings. So we get hits of I think like endorphins, and we just feel good in a more simple way. And me talking about things that and not talking about things that I don't know, but it would be like we we feel good when certain things happen, right? We eat sugar, we eat salt. It makes us feel good. We feel good when people give us validation. We feel good when we have a sense of belonging. We feel good when our belly is full. We feel good when we have a roof over our head. We have a certain amount of stability and security in our lives. And so that's very normal. But that's when we give in to that, then it's the material, the personality taking, it's not ownership, but the personality taking over the space that belongs to the spirit, because that kind of fulfillment is intended to be spiritual. It is intended to be intangible. It's intended to be of a higher nature. And that's when it gets really heavy for the spirit, because all of a sudden imagine if I said, oh, never mind with how I love and what I wanted for our relationship, let's just go along with what you're saying so that I get a sense of belonging, and then that friendship continues. Can you imagine how my spirit feels every single time we're talking, every single time? And maybe she makes a joke again, oh, you were so silly with that, remember that? And I just laugh, haha, yeah, yeah, yeah. And the soul just feels burdened, and the spirit is showing me like it just shrivels up and takes less and less space within the self. It takes less and less, it connects less, it cuts itself off, also for its own protection. Our spiritual energy does retreat when there is pain, when there's hurt, when there's trauma, and things like that. Unless it's been very, very well trained, which would be part of the earth angel energy, then the spiritual energy shows up in the darkness to light up the darkness, to help us in our most difficult moments, to bring through real creativity, real change and transformation, which is also what is intended for you here. But it takes work, and it takes the kind of work that you have been through to be able to do that on some level. But here and now, there's the need to purge this stuff. So let's get you some advice. Let's get us some advice, because I'm gonna I'm gonna jump on this train. I'm gonna report for duty for this one. Oh, the spirit is like, well, what would you say about being in this time? I don't know. And in this kind of shift, I like it because it feels quite bittersweet. It feels like you're letting go and saying goodbye to a lot of stuff that you didn't want to have in the beginning, to begin with. Experiences you didn't really want to have, connections you didn't really want to have, spaces you didn't really want to stand in, circumstances you didn't really want to have to deal with. And so saying goodbye to all of that feels sweet, but there is a bitterness over having had to move through it to begin with, and also a sense of attachment, I would say, from that being what you've known for most of your life, what I've known for most of my life for some of these things, right? And so it's very, I consider myself to have done a lot of work on myself, so I don't often get challenged, but this is challenging. This is really challenging, and it just shows how profound it is and how transformative it is going to be. So those are my 2 cents. Let's go back to the reading and Spirit's advice for you. We've got Priestess. How are you being called to step up and lead? And I'm telling you, I've been doing this reading all day apparently, because I was just thinking about priestessing today. Then we have play, have fun, celebrate, don't be so serious. Love it. Beautiful cards too. So my love, priestessing is an energy that's very much in the collective at this time, actually. But the thing about, I was just thinking about priestessing today, and how priestessing would be the difference between priest and priestess. We've had the priest energy for a long time, and then now we have the priestess energy. And the difference would be the difference between kind of brotherhood and sisterhood. Brotherhood, and when we think of like a brotherhood in humanity, is being on good terms with all humans as one, right? Everybody's your brother, and there's what is the word? There's like sympathy between us, and we solidarity, those kinds of energies. And then sisterhood is about sharing the personal life, those everyday lives. So again, it's not gendered. You can have sisterhood between men, for example, but it would be about being involved and in the sharing the personal life, the personal experiences, and again having sympathy and connection at those levels, but it's at a much closer level to the self. And in the same way, the priest energy is very much kind of what we find in organized religion, that it's very much about the living out of the spiritual being within the social realm, like those rules, right? Thou shalt not kill and those things. But priestessing is much more about the inner relationship that people have to themselves and have to the divine, and how to step into that space and help them and facilitate it. So when this card is showing up in this way, it's very much talking about, and right on top of the high priestess. Wow. Okay. So those two levels also got brought in, that the high priestess is about the self, or rather, priestess energy is about the individuals and working at an individual level. The high priestess connects a group, a collective, to higher energy. And so there's this level here of you as an individual in your own life becoming a lot more intimate with your life, with your experience, in a way where you are bringing through healing, you're bringing through cleansing, but mostly you're bringing through awareness and presence. This is about you being with you. Be with you in the small moments, in the difficult moments, in the fear. It's about bringing presence into your experience, and then, as the text says, stepping up to lead from there. So it's actually for you to step into this authority in a way where you're being very, very present with yourself, very close to yourself. But it's not priest energy. You're not here to lay down rules for how you're supposed to live and how you're supposed to function, which have value. But it's priestess energy. You're here to accompany yourself, to share your life with yourself. And there's like a plane flying over. I don't know if you could hear it, but there's noise, there's background noise, there's things going on in life, there's darkness. And it's about you showing up in those moments when you're encountering that darkness and leading yourself to not give into it, to engage with what you need to engage with, and bring that kind of leadership, so that it's like, you're in that situation and you'd be tempted to give in, tempted to abandon yourself, tempted to judge yourself, tempted to go into some old pattern. And it's like your own energy coming in and saying, no, not now. And leading yourself away from that, leading yourself. But again, not from a higher perspective where you're looking down on yourself, but being really on the same level and at one with yourself, and having a lot of compassion, a lot of understanding, a lot of acceptance also, that this is who you are. These are the patterns that you have before you and have had in your life, and accompanying yourself through that. It's almost like a midwifing kind of energy, to midwife yourself into the next cycle. And then the high priestess level does come in with the collective, because you know what? There's a lot of collective energy going on. There's a big collective shift. And so there is a level where you're going to understand also and be shown that there's a higher order, there's a higher level order to why you need to make this shift. The way in which you show up to love your spirit, to be with your spirit, to accompany yourself. You are your spirit, all that you are, spirit, soul, personality. You show up for all of it. That's the direction for humanity at large. So you're priestessing yourself, and probably also people around you who are going to be having similar experiences or be reacting to the experience that you're having. And at the same time, you're also doing this work at a much higher level. And Spirit is saying, you can do this. You are intended to do this. You are built for this. So finally, while that sounds like a big deal, how perfect is that? Next card is play. Don't be so serious about it. Have fun with it. And the thing about play and fun energy, and I'm recording this in Leo season, and Leo rules the fifth house, which I call the fifth house of entertainment, which is, of course, everything that makes life fun and joyous and enjoyable. The fifth house rules kids, it rules romance, it rules the heart, it rules our passions and everything we live out from the heart, right? So there's that energy, but to entertain also means to host. So you can entertain friends at your home. You're hosting them, you're providing them with things, and it's the same kind of energy. It's like the energy of the fifth house in astrology is where we entertain our spirit. It's all the things that we feed the spirit, and play feeds the spirit, enjoyment, delight, positivity at a basic level, but also expression, creativity, that when we think of as creativity in general, so like creating art and all of these things that are in the fifth house, have a lot of that. Give yourself a lot of that. Feed your spirit, basically, spirit is saying, to things that light you up, things that delight you, things that bring a lot of joy into your life, things that are very gratifying for you also. It doesn't have to be all that heavy or that difficult, but allow yourself to fill up, like you fill up your light while you are in this process. Because for some of you, to some degree, your soul, your spirit is I mean, this is true for everybody on the planet, right? But depending on what you've experienced, I'm trying to say is that your soul will be more or less, your spirit, sorry, will be more or less present or more or less in retreat. And the play, this sacred energy, indulging in whatever is sacred to you, whatever feels like play for you, whatever fulfills you, to indulge in that, you're going to be coaxing your spirit back towards you, right? To return, come closer, come closer, come closer, and building up your light in the process, just like we have up here. So yeah. Okay, I'm not gonna say any more to that. I think that is described enough. Yeah, I just want to add one thing with this glass here. Do you see that there's a famous thing about the lady in the ice cubes, which is a subliminal image that was used in marketing to sell, I think it was beer at the original one, right? But it's speaking to this subliminal energy, subconscious energy. This is also talking about, spirit is saying that you're going to also have this kind of bubbling of joy coming up from inside you, where you're not gonna be so serious about certain things that you took very seriously, and especially patterns where you've been beating yourself up, or things where you've been basically selling yourself out, or disturbing your integrity. You're not going to take it so seriously, and there's a very joyful turn in that. So it's not a matter of it like, oh my God, I can't believe I used to do that. More beating yourself up. It's more like laughing about it. Oh my God, I can't believe I used to do that. Oh my God, I can't believe this. I can't believe that. That there's a lightness that is going to be coming in. You're going to know you're on path, and your priestessing is working when you feel this incredibly joyous and fulfilling and full, wholesome, bright brilliance, bright energy coming in within you, but also in your life. It's all part of the shift. So let's have a takeaway for this entire reading. We have got Por Google, and it says, go far to go far. Exaggerate the subtle, share the unseen. Only an outsider sees inward. Oh, beautiful. And I'm being especially drawn to the last one. Only an outsider sees inward. And this is spirit talking again about this journey. You have had to be on the outside to some degree in order to come to this point where you could make this journey and look inward and remember yourself, remember your spirit, and choose to live life from there. Spirit is saying, when you grow up over the course of a life, things are going to go into your head. And into your being, right? Not just your head, your emotions. You're going to be shaped and molded by the life that you lead. And for some of you, some of us, there are things that we did not have in life because they would have filled us up with something that would have made the true destination so much harder, so much harder. And that could be a parent that is absent. That could be, the classic example is to be given away and be raised by other people and feeling the lack of that original family. But then for their spirit would say, well, it was so they didn't raise you, right? Who would you be if they had raised you, if they had spent more time with you? Who would you be if that love relationship had worked out, or if that job had worked out, or if anything that basically is misaligned, is not for you, if that had worked out, or if that had been more enduring, then who would you have been? If you were bullied in school, you were in a class full of bullies. If you had fit in with them, you possibly could have become a bully yourself. That was not your path. That's not your destiny. So I'm not going to speak to that. That's sense making. That's for every one of you to decide. But that's the kind of message, and that's the point. It's like to look at your life anew, look at yourself again, look at your path again with this new perspective, higher perspective that is also making its way. And then you decide, you choose to say the truth of your experience, the truth of your journey so far. So if that was your reading, and it was a long one, it was quite a long one, but there was a lot to say. I hope that this reading served you. I am sending you so much love, giving you a big, big hug, a big sisterly, priestessy hug, wishing you all the best in this work, and may you be blessed always and in all ways as a basic level. But really, I truly hope and pray the Spirit will walk with you every single step of the way and help you heal and help you to return into wholeness. And I love praying those things because I know that it is so. The Spirit is always with you, and that your highest good is the number one item on Spirit's list, just as my highest good, just as the highest good of everyone, because we are one. And so I find a tremendous amount of comfort in that. I know that you're in good hands, and I hope that you know it too. May you be blessed always and in all ways, and I will be seeing you around. Bye, love.